Alright, now in this video I'm gonna be discussing about our first C++ STL container, which is vector. So what is vector? Well, vector is nothing but a resizable array. Resizable means its size can grow as per our need. In the case of normal array, they are static. It means that once an array is allocated, its size is fixed. We cannot do anything. But how this vector is implemented then? Well, vector is implemented in something like this. If we need to grow the size, then we would allocate memory twice as the previous size, and then we are going to copy entire thing from the previous array. So this is the logic behind vector, and there are a lot of other functionalities on C++ vector class. Now let's very quickly look at how we can use this vector. In order to use the vector C++ STL, we need to include the vector header file here. Now if you don't want to do that, you can just simply include this bit/stdc++.h. It would import all the necessary header files. Now in order to use vector, we need to write this vector, and in between this angular braces we need to mention the data type, which type of vector we are going to use. It's actually a template class, and in the case of template class, if we want to create some object, we always need to give the data type. So I can give int right here and the name of this vector. Alright, the initial vector is created, it's empty. Now I can add some of the values right here. Let's say 1 2 3 4. Now the initial vector would contain these values. So now what would happen if I want to traverse this vector? I can simply use a normal for loop like this: I equals to 0, I less than arr, and I can use this size method. Size method would return us the current size of this vector, and I'm gonna increment I. Now I can print out the value of arri, same as array. We can access any element of vector using the index at constant time. Now let's run this code and see what happened. It's printed all the values. Now instead of doing this, what I can do here, I can use a range based for loop here. In order to use range based for loop, make sure that in the compiler settings of your IDE you have checked in this C++11 or C++14. Otherwise your compiler will throw some error. Okay, alright, so now let's see how we can use the range based for loop. In range based for loop, first we need to mention the data type and the variable name. Then after this colon sign, I need to mention this vector name. Now I would iterate through each of the values of this vector. I can just print I right here. Alright, let's try to see what's happening. It's printed all the things. Awesome. Now what would happen if I want to insert some elements in this array? As I've shown you that as I've told you that vector is resizable array, we can add any element in vector. In order to add something in this vector, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna use this insert method. Now okay, before discussing about the insert method, I'm gonna show you the pushback method. So using that pushback method, you can insert some values at the end of the vector. So let's insert a couple of values using this pushback method, and here I'm gonna, let's say 100. Let's copy this couple of times. 101, 102. Alright, now I have inserted 3 values at the end of this vector. Let's try to execute this code, and you can see 3 values are inserted. Now what would happen if I want to insert at the beginning of this vector? Well, for that I'm gonna use this insert method. Now in insert method, it takes 2 parameters. One is the pointer where I want to insert some value, and another one is the value. So in the first parameter, I'm gonna give the pointer or the position. So let's say that it's beginning. So I'm gonna give arr.begin, and let's say the value is 108. Alright, let's try to run this code, and you can see 108 is inserted at the beginning of this vector. Now using the same method, I could insert something at the end of this vector. just simply writing end here. Let's say this is 500. Alright, now let's run this code, and yeah, you can see that 500 is added at the end of this vector. Now what would happen if I want to insert something at this position? Okay, let's run this code again. What would happen if I want to insert something here after 102? It's nothing but n minus 1, so I can write okay, let's try to copy this piece of code, and let's say this is n minus 1, and I'm gonna insert 666. Alright, so let's look at what is the output. You can see it's inserted. Alright, this was a basic introduction about vectors. In my next video I'm gonna be discussing about some more methods of vector.